Have you ever had a problem where you have literally spent hours and hours, and in my case, weeks, trying to find a problem, only to find out at the end of the day that there actually was no problem at all? You just totally missed something. Well, this is one of those cases. But as you can see in the background, the Landcruiser is once again all fixed up, all back together, all in one piece and on the road again. And everything is working perfectly. Finally. Well, as you can see, everything is back together and everything is working 100%. This all came together, well, I finished it yesterday, but if you remember correctly, I had a problem with the interior lights. I could not get them to go off. Not with the door switches anyway. I could switch them off manually at the light, but I could not use the door switches to switch them off. For love or money, I couldn't find the problem. And eventually, I had this entire car stripped. Look, I had to take the dashboard out to repair an electrical issue that I did have. But I finally got it all back together, or started to put it back together. I put half the dashboard back in after repairing the harness, and then found that the interior lights still didn't want to switch off. So I stopped right there and I took the dashboard out again. And I attempted to trace the problem. And for the love of money, I could not find the problem. Eventually, out of desperation, by that time, I had every panel open in this car. Every panel in this car had been taken off and I had access to the entire harness right through the whole car. What I did then was I took every single plug and just unplugged everything one at a time until the lights went out. That narrowed it down considerably. And eventually, the plug that switched the light off was the plug right at the back of the car going through to the rear door. Now, I've always believed that this car did not have a switch on the back door to switch the interior lights on. Well, I was mistaken. I always expected to find a normal switch, just like the rubber switch that you will find at on the main doors, but this car does not have anything like that. But after unplugging the plug in the back corner here, you can't really see, it's too dark in there. There we go. Right behind that panel in the back corner behind the lights is a plug, and I unplugged it and the lights went out. So I traced it back all the way to the latch here. I found a wire that to me looked like it was pinched. So I took the lock off, only to find that this lock has actually got a built-in switch, and that switches the lights on and off. The only problem there ever was with the interior light switching was that this door was never pushed in properly. It was never latched properly. It closes and latches, but there's a separate pressure point to latch the switch, and that never happened. And in the process, the reason why it was happening, I discovered that my tailgate, I don't know if you'll be able to see it here, but the tailgate is not 100% straight. It is obviously at some point had a heavy load loaded on it, and it is slightly bent. It is bowed. So it is not closing 100% properly. It latches properly, but it is not making perfect contact with the seals, especially the tailgate itself. In the center, right in the middle at the bottom, it is actually barely touching the seal rubbers. But that is the only problem that this car ever had with the interior lights. In the process of finding this problem, I have learned the entire harness, how it works, where every wire goes. So I am pretty clued up on the electrics of this car now, which is a bonus. You know, it was good to find the problem at the end of the day, to solve it, even though it kept me busy and the car off the road for ages. I mean, I don't have all day every day to work on the car, so I've been using every spare minute I have to spend a little bit of time here and there working on the car. But to find the problem and to know now that there is nothing that is dangerous, I can I can sleep easy at night knowing that my car is not, there's no chance that the car is going to burn out. So that is it for this story. The car is back on the road. Next is to give it a service. I still haven't given it a service after my trip up to the Northern Cape and to the Namibian border. That was 6,000 call it 6,300 kilos ago, and it's due for an oil change and a clean the air filters and things like that. I haven't done that yet, so that will be done now. So that is the story of the Landcruiser with the interior light problem that the lights just didn't want to switch off for forever, and I eventually solved the problem. Everything is now working 100%. As you saw there, the steering wheel cover has not been put on because I still need to get the car out on the road and just take it for a drive to get the steering wheel centered before I tighten it down and put the cover back on, the center cover. But that is it. The car is now once again ready. After a service now, an oil change and a filter, clean the filters and everything else, she'll be ready for any long trip that I can give her, put in front of her. She's quite willing and able to do it now. I'm glad this has turned out this way. I was expecting to find some horrendous bush mechanic work in the wiring harness somewhere, which I never did. Everything is now in perfect condition, working condition, and I'm extremely happy about it. I'll catch you in the next video where I am going to do the promised review of some of the equipment that I used on my Northern Cape trip. Remember, build it yourself. Don't buy it.